It's your girl Mel-C over here. Welcome to the very first edition of the Sit Down with Mel-C. I have a very special guest in studio with me today kicking off the show. She is the head chef and founder of Favorable Upswing, Allison Jantjies. Thank you so much, Allison, for joining us in studio today. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm fine. I can't complain. I hope you had a safe journey on your way over here.
Yes, I did.
So, Allison, you did an 18-month course in hospitality, and you also had the opportunity to work abroad in the USA. Was cooking always something that you wanted to do?
Cooking was something that I always loved, but that
Mm,
wasn't my first option.
okay.
Um, my first option was to go into the field of education,
Mm,
but as I grew older,
mm,
that desire to become a teacher, I just outgrew it.
okay.
So entering into matric, not knowing what I wanted to study, was very stressful
Mm.
because your matric year, you're supposed to know what you want to
Yeah,
study.
you like have to know in what direction your
Yes.
life's going.
And so entering into matric, me not knowing what to study,
Mm,
because you need to apply for universities, I
okay.
slowly drifted towards hospitality because that was something that I enjoyed.
Mm,
I took hospitality in high school.
mhm,
So I had a little bit of background of what it entitled. So I wanted to enter into hospitality industry.
mm,
That time in MMU didn't have that as a option to study with him. So I went to Russell Road,
okay.
studied hospitality industry over there. And for me, it was very important to study
Mm,
hospitality as a whole and not just culinary.
okay.
Because if I didn't like the back of house in the industry, I can at
Mm,
least fall back on something else because
okay.
that
Okay.
diploma, that
Mm,
category helps you to go into another area. So I can either go into reception or the
mm.
business side of hospitality rather than being in the kitchen. So that was very important. And then once I finished studied, went abroad, that's when the love and the passion came
Uh,
for what I'm doing right now.
So basically, when you went into this, like, you had a backup plan.
Yes.
Okay, that's really good. That's really good. And then I know, like, a lot of chefs, they have like their sacred sanction. They've got like a section where they are perfect in. What would you say, like, in terms of cooking, is your speciality, your specialty?
I won't say I have a specific speciality because I
Okay.
like to challenge myself in
Okay.
different
Uh,
cuisines. But what I love cooking and what I would say I'm amazing at, it's pasta and
okay.
also the Mexican side of the cuisine. So I love that.
You like spicy stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Don't we all, especially now in winter time? So I'm sure you get a lot of those orders now, like the hot stuff and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah. So we mentioned earlier that you had the opportunity to study, to work abroad. So you worked in the state of Arizona, you worked in Boston. We know, like, a lot of people have like a lot of things to say regarding lifestyle in the USA. In terms of the lifestyle in the US, how did you adapt to the lifestyle and also to the type of food that they cook? Because I'm pretty sure that the dishes there are not the same as the type of food that you would found in our homes, in
Yeah.
our supermarkets. So how did you adapt in terms of the lifestyle and the food that they served over there?
I would say I adapted quite easily.
Okay.
My time in America was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I grew as a person, I grew as a chef, and I grew spiritually as well. I would
Okay.
say, like, I found myself basically there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would always tell people, like, the year 2019 was my best year ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, one thing that I can say about the USA, people are more advanced over there,
I can
which
imagine.
in a positive way motivated me so much because looking at my colleagues,
Mm.
which was the same age as me, or just a year below me, they you can really see they are well advanced
Okay.
because they are like far in their career
Mm.
and also they own properties, and we look at age 24 and be like, wow, that's like a major step, whatever.
Mm. Mm.
But I feel with them, when they say adulthood begins by the age of 18, not just by the age 18, but
Mm.
physically they really have responsibilities at that age because that is the age when they move out. They
Uh,
start driving, they own properties, they have so many achievements, which me coming from South Africa,
uh,
and you do see it here, but not as much as there. There it's
Okay.
like it's the norm. So
Okay.
for me, it encouraged me so much
Mm.
that to work hard. If I can see my age category, they are head chefs already, and
Okay.
they are well in advance in their careers. That pushes me so much, so that I can go that route as well.
Okay, okay. Like, with us when we've got responsibilities, we're like, oh, I've got so much to do, and blah, blah. And then there with them, it's like, it's their
Yes,
lifestyle and
yes,
everything like that, and so you. I'm pretty sure that working in Arizona, it's Texas.
yes,
They have like their own type of foods. We have our own type of foods. Boston, they have like their own
yes.
dishes. Out of all the dishes that you've ever made or ever had to make, regardless whether it's here in South Africa, in the US, what would you say was the hardest dish you ever had to make?
For me, it's not a specific dish,
Okay.
but at first starting out, which battled me was seafood,
Oh, okay.
because seafood is complicated on its own.
Mm.
Starting out, the most common mistakes we can make is to overcook seafood. And once
Oh.
you overcook it, it becomes stuff,
Mm.
tasteless, and also it dries out, can become dry.
Okay.
So you need to focus on your specific time,
Mm.
the
Mm.
temperature as well, which plays a huge role in the cooking of seafood, which starting out it scares you because
I'm sure.
if you have orders and you
Uh,
overcook it, you
then
can't use it anymore.
okay.
So that I feel like that was my most hardest dish starting out.
And you know what? You just basically like talking about the cooking the seafood and whatnot. And some of us, when it comes to Easter times with making the fish,
Fish.
the thing that scares us the most is cleaning the fish.
Yeah.
And now you're telling us that there's like a specific way to cook fish and whatnot. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. I would think that fish is like the easiest
Yeah.
thing to make, but now obviously you proved us wrong. So like you said, you had an amazing journey of discovering yourself. Obviously you also had the opportunity to see the world. Like most of us wish that we could have that, even
Yes.
if it's just for a couple of months to travel, and you already had that opportunity with your career. When you look back onto your journey, starting from, when you decided, no, this is something that you wanted to do and make a business out of it,
Yes.
what would you think was the hardest part of your journey looking back?
I would say the hardest part for me was starting my business.
Okay.
Starting out young,
Mm.
people told me in advance like it's difficult. You will only see um profit, or you would only see the business succeeding after a specific time, maybe a 2 years or 5 years or
Okay.
so. And for me, at least, starting out, I knew that from the get go
Okay.
that it's going to take time for the
Mm,
business
mm.
to succeed. But me not being, I won't say a people's person, but I love to be behind the scenes. I would
Okay.
rather
Mm.
work for somebody, take orders from somebody.
Okay.
But God had something else in mind.
Yes.
And looking back in all my positions that I was
Mm.
abroad, I would always be serving in front of people, preparing meals in front of people. And today, looking back, I would
Mm.
just say that that was God's way of preparing me for my time with my business, because now I
Mm.
have to interact with the people.
Mm.
And owning a food truck, I am working in front of people. So that was just preparing me for then.
Mm.
And I didn't like working in front of people because I was very shy.
Okay.
So it's now that I came out of my shell,
Mm.
and I would also like now coming to the radio show challenge myself
Yeah. Okay.
to do that. So the hardest part was starting out,
Mm.
and then also the challenges of the business behind the scenes,
Mm.
when people do not deliver on time, it affects the
Okay.
business.
Mm.
Like the stress of business,
Mm.
being a teenager and still having a social life, the
Mm.
balance between that, it's very stressful. But I know the reward at the end will be amazing.
Yes. Yes.
So for me, the hardest thing was starting.
Okay. So basically, you can say that this whole journey for you was it was something to like to bring you out of your shell, to
Yes.
strengthen you for what's next. Now, just quickly, when you were working in Texas, you said that you like preparing food in front of people. Was it like a buffet or?
We had a pizza station.
Okay,
So they
okay,
would have pizza ovens and we would have to do flatbreads, we have to do
okay.
pizzas. Because it was a fine dining. So
Okay, okay.
people would basically sit in front of you
And
and
what you
you have
prepare.
to prepare it for them.
Okay. Well, that if like I don't know if that's not pressure, then I don't know what
Yeah.
is, because people is like right there on you.
Yes.
So you mentioned a couple of times that your relationship with God strengthened through
Yes.
this. You got to know yourself a lot more better when preparing for your day. What is your mental, your physical, and also your spiritual routine? When preparing for a long day in the kitchen, for a long day at work, what is your routine to get yourself in
Yes.
that mood?
Like the previous night before, if I know I have a busy day the
Mm,
next day,
mm,
the evening I would draw up my schedule, place how many times I have for a specific task to do,
okay,
and I would plan it out.
okay,
Morning comes, first thing that I do, it's my devotion with God,
okay.
because I feel like that gives me the energy that I need to carry out through the day.
Mm,
For example, whenever I go through difficulties throughout the day, I can always reflect onto the word that God gave me. It will
mm,
always correspond or would help me.
yes.
For instance, if I have a busy day and it's a lot of customers all at once and we
Mm.
are only two working, and God gave me a word the morning, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I can
Amen.
draw on that.
Amen.
I can always draw on that, and
uh,
that will motivate me to continue out through my day.
okay, so your day before, it's basically
Yes.
just planning,
Yes.
self-reflecting, and all of that.
And the planning is very important. I feel
I can
like
believe
that's
that.
one
Yeah.
thing that we miss out on. And if you don't plan your day ahead,
Mm,
like you can go in all different directions. But if you have planned everything on a paper, um, you can always go and reflect onto it and
mm.
say, but this was the time that I needed for that, and I'm going over my time. I need to move on through a task. That helps you to get throughout the day.
And I think, yeah, timing is crucial. Like even in every industry, like you have to have planning, you have to have timing. It's always something that you can't just freestyle your
Yes.
day through it. Now, you came back just before the COVID lockdown.
Yes.
You started your business through COVID, and now recently you bought a food truck.
Yeah.
What, like, especially starting your business in the COVID pandemic, what was like the hardest obstacle that you faced in that time, and how did you manage to overcome that obstacle to get to where you are today with your business?
I think starting out through COVID,
Mm,
it was very difficult. But the most difficult part for me was pricing my products,
okay.
because people are losing jobs.
Mm,
People have they do not have a lot of income, but me wanting to provide quality products
mm,
for my people, and then also having to look at my environment.
okay.
Does that price correspond to where I'm situated? Because I started out at home. I didn't start out with a food truck.
Okay.
So I had to price my products, and then also look at the, sorry. I had to price my product
Mm,
according to my environment as
mm,
well, but also considering that it's quality.
okay. Yeah.
I'm starting out with packaging,
Mm,
having my logos on,
mm.
and it costs money.
I
So
can
I
believe it.
think
Yeah.
pricing for me starting out was difficult. What are people willing to pay
For
for
like
the
for a
product?
certain
Yes.
product. Yeah. Now I didn't tell you about this question, so I'm going to quickly put you on the spot. If we decide, okay, you know what, we want to go into an empire and we want Allison to be Empress of Empire Kobegau, Port Elizabeth, what would your three main rules be in your empire?
3 main rules for my empire. Okay, you put me really on the spot. um, can you just elaborate more on that question?
It's your country.
Okay.
You're going to have your rules and your regulations. What would the three main rules be?
Based on business.
No,
Oh.
it's your country.
um,
Please say free food.
free food. Um, for me, 3 rules.
Hmm.
For me, very important, lower costs
Okay.
on the petrol as well, and then food products. Because I realize being abroad as well, as I said, they are more advanced.
Yeah, okay.
Cost of living is very cheap.
Over
So I
there.
feel that's why at the age of 24, people can own properties, they can own cars, because they also have two jobs. They come from working as a chef in the
And
kitchen.
then go to something else.
Then after work, they would go and work in garages for a
Okay.
second job. So cost of living is very cheap there. And then one thing that I would do is reduce costs, especially petrol costs as well, as we are going through that. And it affects business as well, because me personally, being a small business, I have to go. There's only few places that do deliver, but the rest I have to go and buy. So the cost of petrol, I would reduce that, and then the costs of living as well. And number two, I don't know if people are gonna persecute me for this, but I would bring God back into churches, into schools. Like I feel like I couldn't have made it without God.
Without God.
And I've experienced that throughout this 3 years of my journey being a chef. That's the only person that I could call on when I go through difficulties of business. I don't know how I would survive. I would probably given up on my
We would have
dreams
given
right
up
now.
already. So it's cost of lower petrol prices, lower food prices, and God.
Yes.
Vote Allison Jantjies for Empress. There you have it. The three main rules in the empire of Allison will be lower food prices, lower petrol prices, and God. Now, unfortunately, we have come to the end of this edition of the Sit Down. But although we might be wrapping things up, it doesn't mean that your girl Mel-C will let you leave the sit down empty-handed. Now, Allison, being the star that she is, brought us an amazing steak panini sandwich recipe that you can find for the takeaway on my Facebook page at Melissa Kutsia, and also on my Instagram page at Melissa Kutsia 01. I hope you had an amazing time with me and Allison right here on the Sit Down. Have an amazing day. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye.
Bye.